Thanks for staying with us. This is Nigeria Today on TVC News. We'll begin in the nation's capital, where the federal government has begun the process of concessioning the Ajaokuta Steel Company and the nation's ore mining complex in Itakpe. This decision was taken at the Federal Executive Council meeting held at the council chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Also, approval was given to the Ministry of Science and Technology for the 2022 revised energy policy. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
The industrial revolution of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration may soon gain traction with the approval of transaction advisors on plans to concession the Ajaokuta Steel Company and the National Iron Ore Mining Complex in Itakpe, Kogi State. The moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company is expected to come alive after an initial delay caused by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Efforts by previous governments since 1979 to make Nigeria become self-sufficient in the manufacturing of steel has never been successful. Maybe this time, President Buhari's administration will just break the jinx with the concessioning plan.
We believe that with this development, would have made significant steps in bringing back to life both the Ajaokuta Steel Complex and the Iron Ore Company in Itakpe, and fast forward the industrial revolution of Nigeria.
Council also approved the 2022 revised energy policy that seeks to harness the abundant energy sources available in the country and utilize it to enhance productivity in all sectors of the economy and also contribute to an improved supply of electricity across the country.
Nigeria is so blessed, and what we want to do is to make sure that we have a mix that will bring in all the various energy resources that Nigeria has for the benefit of our nation.
Residents in the federal capital will soon feel the impact of an improved electricity supply when the construction of a direct circuit line from Katampe to the National Stadium is completed. Already an approval has been given for the variation of the contract earlier granted in 2010. The Ministry of Power also got approval for the design and construction of transmission line from Birnin Kebbi through Zuru to Yauri in Kebbi State.
At the cost of also two components, offshore and the onshore. The offshore is $25.8 million and the onshore is 10.2 billion naira.
Before the commencement of this week's Federal Executive Council meeting, 4 new permanent secretaries were sworn in by President Muhammadu Buhari. The new permanent secretaries are Mrs. Beatrice Jedi Agba, Kacholom Daju, Malam Shehu Ibrahim, and Dr. Mary Ogbe. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Away from that, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has urged political parties to make drug integrity tests part of the screening requirements for aspirants seeking to contest various offices in the 2023 general election. NDLEA Chairman Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired, made the proposal in response to questions from journalists at the agency's 2022 First Quarter Best Performing Commands Award ceremony in Abuja. He tasked politicians, especially those in the APC and PDP, to take the responsibility of undergoing a drug test before running for public office, as Kano State government is already on it. He also highlighted some of the feats the agency has recorded in the last 3 months, including the arrest of over 3,500 suspects. The All Progressives Congress in Adamawa State has convened a town hall meeting of the party's chairman in the 21 council areas to enlighten them on the imperativeness of electing the best candidates during the forthcoming party's presidential and governorship primaries. In attendance were party secretaries and those who formed the delegate list of the party in the state. Correspondent Owolabi Adenusi filed in this report.
The fast approaching 2023 general election gives the All Progressives Congress in Adamawa State another opportunity to regain seats lost in 2019. The party lost governorship polls with 40,000 votes to the incumbent due to an internal crisis that polarized its stakeholders in 2019. The party is not taking any chances this time around and is the reason for this town hall meeting involving chairmen, youths, and women leaders across the 21 local areas of the state. They're here to brainstorm and strategize on how to win the 2023 polls in the state. The meeting, called at the instance of Jamili Yusuf, agreed there is an urgent need for the stakeholders to go for massive enlightenment of the people.
So the resolution we have here is that any candidate that is coming to contest any election in Adamawa State should come with a policy document so that you can hold everybody accountable. When you came to us, you want to contest, you came with a policy document. But now what you are doing in our state is not part of your policy document. That's the manifesto. Every candidate should have a manifesto, every governor. Some people don't understand that being a governor is a public office. Being a governor is not your private entity. If you want to be a businessman, don't come and be a governor.
Speaking at the end of the meeting, the APC State Public Relations Officer and youth leaders say over 1 million people registered for the party in the state after the last general election. The party leaders also note that they are taking campaign for voter registration to all governments.
If you have voters card, you don't ready for the election. But we youth in Adamawa State, we are ready to take of this thing about why we are just educate our people now. Everybody shall come out and go do his voter registration against 2023.
Already, 5 gubernatorial aspirants have indicated interest to contest the party primaries for next year's general election. Prominent among them are former Governor Umar Bindo and Nuhu Ribadu, former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. But the party leadership is assured the aspirants of a level playing ground and that it would support the aspirant with the best chance of defeating the incumbent governor.
That's an attention to the National Assembly, where a group of young Nigerians today staged a peaceful rally to demand the speedy passage of the starter bill. The bill has scaled second reading in both chambers and awaits public hearing. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
Barely a week ago, the leadership of the House of Representatives received a detailed brief on the Nigerian startup bill from the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Ali Pantami.
Some of them, because of lack of the enabling environment, their offices are here in Nigeria, their activities are here, but they will go to another company and register there. Why? Because there is no coordination here and there is no any law to protect the business.
Now, these youths are on an advocacy rally on the bill to the National Assembly. They appreciate the support received from the legislators so far on the bill and call for a speedy passage.
So one of the things that we need to understand is that because the president, and this is a big tent initiative, this is one of the fastest bill in the history of the National Assembly. From inception, from starting, we've had like NDLEA, consultations, we've had regional meetings, we've had all sorts of engagement just to make sure that everybody is carried along in this process. So
most of the times, youths come up with several innovative solutions to several indigenous challenges. And they find themselves actually in the midst of regulatory imbalances to be able to pursue their ideologies. So one of the things that this bill does for us is that it gives quite confidence to the young person who is innovative, who has ideas that he thinks can actually bring solutions to several problems that we have within the nation.
The bill has skipped second reading in the two chambers and now awaits public hearing. They are optimistic the proposed law will uplift the youths and impact positively on the nation's economy.
If I'm getting this film done, like I have the support of the government, I have the support of an ecosystem. I'm not going to wake up one day and everything I'm building is no longer feasible simply because regulation changes or a government change. Laws make things steady regardless of time and space.
It's going to help with talent sourcing, so with upskilling of young people to be able to get hired and also to be able to belong to startups and businesses who are going to be thriving and creating, solutions to problems.
A bridge in infrastructure deficiency, funding, job opportunities and regulatory provisions are some of the advantages of the bill, and the youths are hopeful it will become a law within the shortest possible time. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
In its bid to complement the federal government's efforts to tackle the disturbing spate of insecurity in the country, the Senate has prohibited the payment of ransoms to kidnappers. The payment of kidnap ransom was criminalized by the lawmakers during Wednesday's plenary as they passed the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 Amendment Bill 2022. The prohibition by the lawmakers followed the receipt and consideration of a report by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on the bill. Chairman of the committee, Senator Okpayemi Bamidele, had moved that the lawmakers receive the report, after which he presented it for consideration. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, says the fight against insecurity is not the sole purpose of a government, and the contributions but support of the citizens is essential. You are watching Nigeria Today. We'll take a moment and return with more stories. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We're still talking security, as this time in Lagos. Traders closed shops at Computer Village in solidarity with their fellow traders who were felled by a police officer's bullet at the Yanokwaja area of the state. Senior correspondent Ivy Kano reports.
It's day 3 after the shooting at a birthday party that claimed the lives of 2 businessmen.
The call for justice for the 2 that were allegedly shot dead by a police officer is beginning to gather momentum as thousands today gathered at Computer Village to protest their death.
Angry traders carried placards early at the Computer Village, Ikeja. Amongst them are representatives of Chikere Obiechi family and associates.
Debbie is a businessman. He pays his tax. He is not an illegal businessman. And we are not happy that he was murdered just like that.
The rules and regulations guiding police. As a fully police officer, you are not supposed to be drunk and handle rifle.
We are crying. This is the light of my family.
The man that was celebrating the birthday called my brother more than 3 times, insisting that my brother should attend his birthday occasion, his birthday party, to honor him.
From there, a journalist visited the home of one of the deceased, Chikere Obiechi, where a condolence register has been opened. Overtaken by grief, his young wife, Ifeyinwa Obiechi, says it appears her husband was assassinated.
From the video that I saw, he was very anxious. The Asiwaju was anxious. He felt something was going to happen. My husband was praying him money, and he was just standing uprightly, not moving, not dancing. Immediately the gunshot was aimed. He flew over the fence, took his car and left. So I believe this was a clear assassin case.
She says she fears the celebrant might go scot-free given his relationship with the police.
I know Asiwaju works with the police, and I know he has connections, and I know they are trying their best to cover some kind of things up.
Meanwhile, police in a statement state that investigations so far revealed that the shooting was accidental and involved an off-duty police officer, Inspector Muhammad Hussaini, serving at the state headquarters, Ikeja. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
In other matters, civil society organizations have been urged to network with one another to improve capacities and ultimately address the menace of sexual and gender-based violence. Kemi Foladeyemo has more in this report.
This is the third quarterly meeting with civil society organizations, spearheaded by women's rights body RAP and funded by the EU. The project is geared at ramping up efforts, including building capacity to promote an uptake of justice-related social services in Ojo local government area of Lagos State. Participants share the progress made on the cases they are handling.
Ojo is a hot spot, including the LGS where we are coming. I'm coming from Alimosho, for example. It's an very, very hot spot. Oshodi Solo is an hot spot. Mushi is a hot spot. We have a lot of population. It's thickly populated, and we have various family issues and some other stuff.
Why we still have this privilege that a lot of people are afraid to talk. You understand? We have this denial issue. A lot of people are afraid to. So the sensitization and awareness has really make people to say, okay, yes, we want to talk. It has increased cases of reporting cases and also tracking cases.
We need to increase our engagement with the religious leader, the community leaders, and with the adult. We are already doing the one for the one for the youth is already going on. Averagely, we meet minimum of 100 every month.
RAP says through this initiative, it has equipped at least 207 community stakeholders to effectively report cases and give the survivors the needed support.
So we now decided to engage community representatives with the civil society organizations working in Ojo and Oshodi Solo, train their capacity to be able to respond to issues of LGBTQ. And now there is increased reports coming from Ojo. People are now reporting. They are now more aware of where to go to report when they are having cases of domestic violence.
They shouldn't keep the information within themselves, because we are talking of social problem. We are trying to have a society. So I believe everybody can come here. They are just a representative. They are micro people representing a larger society. Therefore, they go home and disseminate the information and sensitize the society.
Advocates say that though violence against females remains rampant, efforts should intensify in eradicating the menace through increased reporting. Kemi Foladiemo, TVC News, Lagos.
A research undertaken by the UNFPA, sponsored by the Global Affairs Canada, indicates an increase in gender violence and harmful traditional practices in some states in Nigeria. To address this, focal persons across the state are meeting in Abuja to develop a sustainability action plan that will serve as structure in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence. Moyo Thomas reports.
There are still many gaps that result in gender-based violence and traditional harmful practices, despite efforts at eliminating the menace. As part of the United Nations Population Fund's effort in supporting national capacities in tackling SGBV, it has brought together state commissioners and other stakeholders to deliberate on methods of sustaining efforts on eliminating gender violence.
Initially, the project design, wasn't really. Then we were just thinking of maybe just go in there, provide some services for these few cases that we will have. But after the lockdown and despite the increase in COVID-19, we are now putting so much of our efforts now in trying to even address, provide treatment and care to these cases of GBV that are reporting. GBV cases, not just when they report, you have to again at least give them care, social rehabilitation should come in, and sometimes even try to look at economic rehabilitation for these survivors.
Issue of gender-based violence. You will recall that in the news recently, it has become very topical. And even beyond the scope of this project, we are beginning to see violence even in schools. And one of the things that we are beginning to think about is how to expand this project so that we focus more on the young people, particularly the young people. We are doing things with young people, but by the time this project was conceived, we didn't envisage that it would come to this level.
The meeting hopes to improve legislative and policy formulation according to international standard and best practices. It also hopes to increase awareness and create favorable social norms, attitudes, and behavior. Recent occurrences in the country indicate the need to step up effort on issues of gender-based violence, especially among the young ones, and policy formulation is a step in the right direction. Moya Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
A public affairs analyst and former spokesperson for the Atiku Abubakar presidential campaign in 2019, Segun Showunmi, has lamented the high rate of out-of-school children in Ogun State. He aired his grievances during the breaking of fast session with journalists in Ogun State and recommended Brazilian model, which places emphasis on free nursery and primary education. The politician noted that the state deserves more, being the home of the promoter of free education in the country, late Obafemi Awolowo. He also queried the spending of money allocated to the State Universal Basic Education Board.
Things are not going well. We have a very high level of out-of-school children now. Why should that be so for a people of Awolowo? Should anybody need to tell anybody to send their kids to school? So why are we still having out-of-school children? In interrogating the solution to that problem, I realized that there are foundational issues. Ogun will be the first state to run free nursery schools. One per ward. Why? Because that's where you lose the children of the poor on education. Your children get to school in primary 1. The children of the poor who is going to be connected to SUBEB get there on primary 1. Your child wants to go to the toilet. He can say, Auntie, I want to wee-wee. What do you expect the child of the poor to say? Whatever he says in his language, his colleagues will start laughing at him. And from that minute, he starts to lose courage in education. Anyway, I've checked the Brazilian model. The Brazilian model tells me that more than anything else, the first living school is the one that must be guaranteed. And Ogun will have to do it.